Hey YouTube, this is a picture of my Yamaha V-Star 1100. I just turned the indicator lights into daytime and nighttime running lights, and also did a LED on the license plate. Let me cut it on and show you guys how it looks in the nighttime. Now this right here, that's my left indicator light, right indicator light, and I also put a LED strip under the license plate. Let's cut the left one on. I don't have a load resistor on there, so because I don't have a load resistor, it blinks a little fast. But if I put a LED load resistor on there, then it will blink normal. I don't too care about that, so you can do it if you want, but I don't have it. That's the left one. This is the right one. That's the right one. And let me cut it off. And as you can see, both indicators are on, day and night running lights. And also the LED strip under the bottom, that's for the brake. Let's see if I can get this here up and running. I got a broomstick, so let me that's a brake light and the LED strip connected. And that's the end product of it. Now for the front, I only put a HID light in the front, 6,000. The front indicator lights came like that, so they're running lights, so I didn't do much for the front, but the rear is where I did the work, where I put the resistors on there and wired it. Once again, this is how it looks at the end. You got both left and right indicator that stays on, and I show you their work. And I did the brake lights also at the bottom with the LED strip, and that works perfect also. Now this is what I use. I use a 5 amp diode and a resistor. This resistor I got from Radio Shack, and the resistor I use is half watt, 560 ohm. I couldn't find a 1 watt, so I used a half watt and just increased the ohms on it. I think I made a mistake on the paper because I wrote on the paper earlier. But when you solder it, this is how you should solder it. The silver line facing forward, because the current's going to flow from the back end going that way. And from this end, from the other end, hold on, I think let me alright. Now the silver end of the diode got to be facing forward, because the current flows forward, electricity flows forward that way, and it can't flow back. So you want to make sure that the top, which is the silver pieces, are flowing forward. This is how it's supposed to be when you solder it. You got to put the resistor and the diode together. Make sure your diode flowing forward, that way the current doesn't flow back into the circuit and then you have your light stuck on. So you solder it like this. Now this is a simple diagram. You have your brake light with 3 wires. You got the positive, you got another positive, but this only comes on when you press the brake. Remember that. And you got the negative. Now that's all wiring system. These are your two signal lights, positive and negative. Now you might need a tester to figure out which one of these stay on. I call this the hot or the live. This comes on with the ignition switch. So once you cut the ignition on, this one comes on immediately. Now you got to make a note of which one comes on immediately, because this is how we're going to hook it up. For the signal lights, you have the one that comes on with the ignition. As you can see, the one that comes on with the ignition, I call it the live or the hot. You're going to get a wire to that, solder on your diode facing that way, then solder on your resistor facing that way, and then you go into the positive of your signal. The wire that's running already to your signal, you're going to cut that, solder that in, and then solder your other diode to it, and solder this wire to the diode. That's why I have this right here, because this is how it's supposed to be done. And this is only positive. There is no negative involved in this. The negative stays where it is. And back over here again, one more time. Your positive from your signal, you're going to cut that and solder a diode on there. Make sure that the silver tip is facing forward. That way you don't have the current coming through and coming back around, because it stops the current from flowing backwards, so your circuit should be fine. And this is how you connect it. Once again, from the ignition. This is for the signal lights only, for the turn signal lights, to turn them into running lights. This is how you connect it. From the ignition wire from the brake light. And then you have the diode with the resistor. That's where you're going to get it from, right there. And this, once again, this is it. That should be your setup right there. And then once you do that, you connect it like this. And then for your other signal, let me try to get this clear. You connect it like that. And for your other signal down here, it's the same exact thing, but in same exact thing. You're going to pull it from your ignition positive. You're going to cut this here, and you're going to do the same thing to this and this and this. You're going to do it right here on this line. And that's how you do the signal. Now for the brake LED that I showed you outside, the drawing is kind of screwed up, but this once again is the ignition, and you have your diode and resistor coming from the ignition. You got to make note of this one, because you don't want to do it in reverse. Diode and the resistor coming from the ignition. The reason why you do this is so the current, the resistor, cuts down the amount of voltage that's going to the light. So that dims the light. Now this resistor, once you press the brake, it sends the correct voltage to the line, and that makes the LED bright. So you got to make sure that both these are facing forward, and the line that's supposed to have the resistor on it is supposed to be your ignition line. And this is for the brake light, for the brake LED. And once again, it has to be LED bulbs, or else it's not going to work. Once again, let me zoom out a little bit. This is what it should look like. Any questions? Let me know, and I'll answer them the best I can.